Guru Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. So let's get started. So we will continue on the shloka 5.23 that we've been talking about. But like always, we will start with our soul soup segment. Yes, sec. Sorry about that. Let me make everybody enter.
Recording in progress.
I think you have to show them in the presentation mode, yeah.
Is it not in presentation mode right now?
No, not right now, yeah.
Are you sure this is not in presentation mode? Are you sure it's not in presentation mode?
I mean, right now we are not seeing anything, yeah. So
okay, give me a sec. Are you able to see it now?
Yes, now it is in presentation mode, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. All right, so we'll start with our soul soup segment like we always do. So as part of the series, we are talking about the science of mind management, and we spoke about 3 steps to empower the intellect. So we'll continue on that. We said that in order to arm our intellect, these are the 3 steps that are needed. And these are Shravan, where we listen about the knowledge. Right? We take the knowledge, we hear it from somewhere. And then the second aspect, which is very important, is Manan, the contemplation part of it. And then when we do that sufficiently, it becomes Nididhyasam, where our intellect is convinced that this is it. Okay, this is the 3-step process. Now, contemplation is very, very important. It is called Manan, which means you have to repeatedly revise the knowledge within the mind. Like students revise the lessons, and something that they have to memorize or they have to understand. They keep on revising the lessons repeatedly until the knowledge is retained or it gets memorized. Same thing we have to do. And same internal revision is required for us to become, that really stick in our head when we need it. We say, right, we all understand, don't worry, do not get angry. But when the moment presents itself, we struggle. That's because we have not done enough contemplation on it. So I'll tell you a story about the contemplation. So there was a king whose name was Raja Bhoj. He was a famous Rajput king in medieval India, and who ruled over Malwa in I think 11th century. And there was a very learned Pandit in his kingdom, and this Pandit was a very good scholar of Vedic scriptures. But when this Pandit grew old, he became poor, and hardships, it messed up with his intellect, right? He was facing hardships. So what he did was he needed money to maintain his family home and get his daughters married. And the only option that he felt that he had left was to steal. Okay, this Vedic scholar, he thought, I'm going to do the stealing to support my needs and the family, given the situation that I am in. And then what happens? He goes to the king's palace and with the intention of stealing. So he goes to the king's palace and said, okay, this is where I'm going to do the stealing, get the money, and then get my daughters married and eradicate, all the issues, problems that we were having because of the money. And with that intention, he goes to king's palace, and it was daytime. A lot of people were walking in out of the main gate, and he mingled with them. And then at night, when everybody started retiring for the day, he slipped in. He just hid himself behind a piece of furniture. And then finally, Pandit ji, he thought, okay, now it's time. It was dark. He thought, now I'm going to steal. Okay, I'm going to fulfill the purpose for which I've come here. And he searched for the treasure room, and with a stroke of luck, he found some jewels and some treasure as well. And he saw the gold biscuits. He reached out to pick some of them. But just when he was about to pick those gold biscuits up, he was about to steal, a piece of knowledge of scripture came to his head, streaming to his mind. And he said, you know what? I had read in Garud Puran that if I steal gold, then it is one of the Panch Mahapap, 5 deadly sins. And if I do it, I'll go to Kumbhi Park Nark. It is one of the many hellish abodes described in Garud Puran. And then I don't want such a consequence. But after a while, he said, never mind. If I cannot steal gold, let me steal diamonds. And then he discovered where the royal diamonds were kept. And just when he was about to steal them, then this piece of knowledge from scripture again came rushing to him. It said that it is a terrible crime, and when one who does it, now he gets sent to Rorav Narak. So there's like Kumbhi Park Narak for gold and then Rorav Narak for diamonds, another hellish abode. And he said, okay, that's going to be too painful. I can't do that. So this continued, and then finally he gave up, this thing. And then, okay, the story goes that the king found him, and then finally he narrated his story, and then king said, "All right, uh, you know, um, he was he was given money that he was needed, but finally he did not steal because intellectually he understood that that knowledge came in right at the moment when he needed it, even before he could commit that sin. That is because he had read it, Shravan had happened, he had contemplated upon it, and that's when, even though he was in dire need of money at the before committing that crime, that knowledge came streaming to him, and that is the power of manan or contemplation. And similarly, when we do negative chintan, it can have a devastating effect. And when we do positive chintan, it can elevate ourselves. And even a single piece of knowledge, if it is contemplated upon sufficiently or reflected upon sufficiently, has the power to transform us eternally. That is the power of this knowledge, the manan. And when we have done enough manan on knowledge, which is truly beneficial, then it can elevate us and it can transform us eternally and can lead us to perfection as well. So that is the whole idea. So there's a very subtle difference between chintan and chinta. If we do chinta, that is also deep thinking, like worrying, then it takes us to grave chitta. But if we do chintan, productive thinking, then it can lead to good results. Like even Newton did a lot of chintan. Just by seeing an apple fall, he could come up with that part, right? So chintan is good, chinta is not good. Manan is productive thinking around the knowledge. And then when we have done that enough, then it can really help us when we need it. It's like pulling out the knowledge out of your hat when you need it. Not everybody can do that unless they have contemplated upon it sufficiently. So with that said, let's move on. We'll pick up the shloka that we have been discussing and continue the discussion on this one. Shaknoti हैव यः सोढुम् प्राक्शरीरविमोक्षणात् कामक्रोधोद्भवं वेगम् स युक्तः स सुखी नरः. Do we have any hands? Riya ji,
Yeah, Riya ji. Yeah. Yeah. Radhe Radhe, Riya ji.
Radhe Radhe, Riya
राधे
ji.
राधे
Radhe Radhe.
शक्नोति हैव यः सोढुम् प्राक्शरीरविमोक्षणात् कामक्रोधोद्भवं वेगम् स युक्तः स सुखी नरः. राधे राधे.
Nice. Thank you, Riya ji. We can take a couple of more hands and then we get started.
Radhe Radhe, Aparna ji.
Radhe Radhe.
शक्नोति हैव यः सोढुम् प्राक्शरीरविमोक्षणात् कामक्रोधोद्भवं वेगं स युक्तः स सुखी नरः. Thank you.
Thank you, Aparna ji. Okay, let's take Chandru ji and then Tejas. Chandru ji, please go ahead.
Yeah,
Chandru.
Radhe Radhe, Chandru ji, you are unmuted here.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe
Am I
Radhe.
unmute?
Yes.
Okay, Radhe Radhe. Shaknoti Hevayaham Sodum Prakshari Yasodam Prakshari Ravimokshanat Kama Krodha Bhavam Vega Sayo Kama Krodha Bhavam Vegam Sayukta Sayusukhinara Sasukin. Can you help me over there?
Sayukta sa sukhi nara. So you got your meter wrong.
Yeah,
Sayukta
Vegam
sa sukhi.
Sayukta Sasukhi Raha. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Tejas, last one, and then we'll proceed.
All right. Radhe Radhe. Shaknotaiva yasodam praksharira vimukṣanata kamakrodam bhavam vegam sayukta sa sukhi naraha.
Very
Thank
nice.
you.
All right, so let's get started. So this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying that those persons are yogis who, before giving up the body, are able to check the forces of desire and anger, and they alone are happy. Let's pay close attention. He's saying the yogis. Who are the yogis? The one before giving up their body. Okay, that's before death. We have spoken about that concept. We'll revisit it. But today we are going to talk more about the forces of desire and anger. And then who are able to renounce or reject those or get over those, they alone are happy. So let's get started. Yesterday, we'll do a quick recap. We spoke about, okay, before that, okay, I came across this one. All right, you know, where the scale is tilted. So choose your friends wisely. Devotees are good. They'll give you satsang, and other friends, you know, quantity doesn't matter. By the way, this one is more important. If you look at the people in your circle and you don't get inspired, then you don't have a circle, you have a cage. So are you in a cage or are you feeling inspired? That is also a choice you make. So it's important to surround ourselves with people who are inspiring and helping us on this journey, as opposed to something which could be detrimental to our journey that can happen very easily. Now let's get into our, so we spoke about humans and animals yesterday, that, you know, these 5 basic activities that humans do, even animals do: sleeping, eating, mating, defending. And there's an incentive for each one of these, right? We have for our survival and for you know, sustaining ourselves and to repair ourselves, like we sleep, or to um, giving opportunities to new souls, right? So there's a part to that. But if we make any one of these as a sole objective of our life, then there's a good chance that our soul, you know, could get transferred to any of these species based on where you have led your life predominantly, right? So that is something that has to be avoided. Primal activities are not the only objective, you know, engaging in those as part of the human life. In fact, it goes much beyond. Right? Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Now, Ved Vyas says that now that you are born as a human, inquire. You shall inquire, who are you? Who is God? Who created this world? What is your relationship with God? What is the goal of life? These questions should bother us. Not bother us, but that curiosity should be there as humans. And then you should seek answers to those. And in Bhagavad Gita, it's not just about rising above these primal things that you anyway have to do, animals also do. So there's no big deal if you do these activities, right? But beyond that, he's also saying, like, he says that more is expected. He's even like 2.38 says, Sukha dukhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo. Right now, not only this, but even in life, you need to have practice equanimity. Sukh dukh means the happiness and distress would come. So you have to treat it alike. Then he says that labha labho, that means the profit and loss can happen, that also you have to treat it same. Jayo, the victory and defeat can happen, that those imposters also you have to treat the same. So much more is expected of humans, not just limited to rising above these 5 activities that we are talking about, right? um what is this called, ahar, nidra, bhay, and maithun, 4 activities. These are even animals too. So we should not restrict ourselves to these activities alone. And if you're leading a life without a spiritual spark, or adding that dimension to your life, there's a good probability that you would center around these activities alone, no matter what you are doing. Okay, we earn, then that falls into the 4th category. We earn because we need a lot of cushion of money to protect ourselves, or to cater to our insecurities. What if this scenario, like, and then all the activities, basically they are saying that we need to rise above these. So let's carry forward this discussion. What does Bhagavatam says? 5.5, right? 5th canto. It says that in the human form, one should not undertake great hardships to obtain sensual pleasures. That is essentially, you know, majority falls into, which are available even to animals. Very clearly it says, okay, if you are striving just to seek these activities that we spoke about and center your life around those or make these as a focal point of your life, then there's no better than being an animal. Instead, one should practice austerities to purify one's heart, enjoy the unlimited bliss of God. And this opportunity to practice this discrimination, we spoke about discrimination is available only to human beings. I think Abhinav had asked yesterday, animals, can't they make decision? They don't have an intellect. They just go by their instincts. I feel like this, I'll do it. So as humans, we are expected to do much better. And then once we do that, they say such a person can taste the divine bliss within and then they can become happy. So this is what we're going to spend a bit of time today on. The soul is not leaving us anywhere. Okay. Okay, body has also come in. So what it says is human body presents a golden opportunity for the soul to reach the supreme goal of God realization. So this is the how invaluable human birth is. We spoke that other bhogyonis do not present you with that opportunity. An animal or even a demigod, devata or a celestial god can also not do purusharth to reach God. They can only enjoy or bear the consequence of their good karma or bad karma, and then they have to come back. Now, why? Because they have, in this body, we possess the faculty of discrimination, while animals are driven by their nature. That is the key difference, right? So discrimination is basically this, what is right and what is wrong. That decision making, Lord Krishna is emphasizing this power of discrimination should be exercised to restrain impulses of desire and anger. Animals cannot do that. They cannot make a decision that, okay, somebody is going to attack them, or if they are feeling hungry, whether they should eat human, whether they should truly prey on what they're not, they typically do, their herd or their clan would do. They don't care. If they're feeling hungry, they won't mind devouring a human being as well if it comes in front of them. And they are driven purely by instincts. But as humans, because we are endowed with intellect, we have to make those decisions. And only way we can make those decisions is proper decisions is if we are arming ourselves with the right knowledge. And that right knowledge can become part of our DNA only if we go through that 3-step process. When we listen to it, we contemplate upon it, and then our intellect gets convinced, and our probability of making right decisions increases many folds. Otherwise, we will probably not be able to make those right decisions, or the knowledge will slip. As we spoke about that story also, right? That knowledge came in, but it may not come in. And after the fact, it will come in, but then the water down the bridge kind of a scenario may happen. Yes, Tejas?
Yeah, Radhe, Radhe. I wanted to make a point here. Also, the other thing is animals, right? They will not feed. If their stomach is full, they will not feed themselves, right? The other thing is humans are a little bit spoiled. Like we have, like, I don't know, DoorDash and Uber Eats. We have so many things at our disposal, right? So we are more spoiled, and we also eat because of our mood, and like that's where the mind also comes. We are not able to control the mind, and the intellect doesn't kick in, right? So that's the another reason where we kind of indulge in eating. Animals don't do that. So animals will only eat when they're hungry, and if their stomach is full, they will not eat for many days. So that's the other thing I just wanted to bring in.
True. So if we were to do an apple to apple, no, it's not an apple to apple comparison. If let's say there was a yardstick based on which humans were to be compared against animals purely on the merit of these 5 activities, animals would do a much better job. They will win the gold. Why?
Mm.
Because their sleep is regulated, right? They
Yeah.
get up at a proper time.
The circadian rhythm, yeah.
Their eating is regulated. They don't eat after sunset. Even the cow will turn its face away if you even offer it grass after sunlight. Their mating is also regulated, unless you're a special breed of animal. It is also regulated, right? They have a certain heat period and stuff like that, where that is also regulated. Um, and they don't do procreation for recreation, right? I mean, certain species do, but then there's a possibility humans may end up in those species if that is how it is being treated. And then they defend themselves only when they sense anger, right?
Right.
Or their self-defense. They will not go out and attack somebody. Humans do that, because of their greed. They may want to expand their territory, or they may want to control somebody. And that's why, even for amusement, we keep animals inside the cages. So purely on merit of these activities, animals would have done a far better job than humans if you look at it.
And humans also made attack out of their ego, right? Like animals will not have ego. That's the other point.
Yeah, no, elephant has a tall ego. Okay, if you throw a stone at an elephant, it will remember it even after.
Remember it.
Then it will come back and chase you down. Okay, it has a elephant memory of an elephant.
Elephant, yeah.
It has a tall ego. It is said. Anyway, there must be some reason for that. Yes, Rahul, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah, there is a comment from Samiranji in the chat. Fast and feast principle like early human beings used to do.
Fast and feast, yeah. Yes, we are going away from that. See, we don't mind doing a midnight snack as well, right? And we can eat anytime basically, because we have that ability, so that animals are much more regulated in that sense for sure, because they are scripted and they follow the laws of the nature. We are given the intellect, because of which we have a choice, and it's a double-edged sword, right? Whenever you have a choice, you can go either way. So with that said, let's move to this. Yes, Rahul, you wanted to add something else as well, or?
No, I think, yeah, that's it.
All right, so let's move on. Desire, let's get into that. Yes, Manoranjanji, you wanted to say some shloka, Kabir Ji's Doha?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, the discussion was very interesting about being human and being animal. Just want to have an analogy on that. Let us understand that when God created animals, it gave them limited access. Like suppose we are using a software, we have different kind of access: the user access, the reviewer access, then we have the admin access. So in a similar concept, when God created animals, it give them limited access. But when actually God created human beings, gave the unlimited access. So
Yep,
therefore, human beings have lot of potential.
true.
As some Kabir is saying, नर नारायण रूप है, मत समझी तू देह, फलक फलक में लौ लागे, फलक फलक में क्षय. Sant Kabir is saying that don't consider this human body to be very simple. It's a very complex mechanism, and Nar Narayan Roop hai. It is your Nar can be a Narayan, but it can also perish within seconds.
Yep.
It is upon you. Either you are going to make it perish or make it to the Brahman. Thank you.
Good points, Manoranjanji. Thank you. So with that said, let's continue with our discussion. Yes, we have a lot of potential as a human body, but then the key is we can realize that potential only if our your knowledge is proper, if our intellect is aligned, and then that's when we can make progress in the right direction. Or see, life is all about, they say, right? It is all about a journey from B to D, birth to death, and in between comes C, choices. And the choices, you can make right choices only if you have proper understanding and intellectually you are convinced about certain things. And that is what we are trying to do here, trying to understand the deeper principles, and then the hope is that we would have contemplated upon it so much that it starts becoming our second nature. So with that, let's continue. Like 2.44 says, right? Bhogeshware prasaktanam taya prihat chetasam. It says that with their minds deeply attached to worldly pleasures and their intellects bewildered by such things, they are unable to possess the resolute determination for success on the path to God, which is being called as vyavasayatmika buddhi. That is like our mind is multi-branched. We want to do this, that, experience this, taste this, too many things we want to do. I said that it's like it is multi-branched, and only when it is, you're just opened up one branch. It's like if you cut the twigs and other remaining things from a plant, then the whole water supply would go to a particular flower, right? And then that flower will blossom like no other flower. But if you have tons of other branches, then it will get diverted. It will get diluted, right? So a little bit of growth here, there, kind of a deal. And the website Yatmika Buddhi is something which where you can approach something with the resolute determination. And if you don't have that, you will continue to get attached to worldly pleasures, and your intellect will have tons of things to confuse it with. Okay. So, anyways, so what is sensual enjoyment, right? It is bhog, the gratification, or aishwarya, luxury. These are the things that we go for, right? And when we have that kind of a predisposition, that our intellects are engaged in enhancing the income, contemplating how to increase material possessions, and maximizing the enjoyment. And because of which we are not able to develop that firm resolve required for traversing the path to God realization. Now, building on that, let's understand how indulgence is harmful. Okay, now indulgence, we think it is an innocuous thing. It's fine, having that extra scoop of ice cream or whatever we want to indulge in. We think it might be okay, but let's try to understand the more deeper ramification of getting into indulgence, right? The hankering aspect of it is there, where we are okay, and then the lamentation happens. These are the two things that come out of the indulgence part of it. Now, over time, the hankering and lamenting increases where intervening pleasure decreases. So this is what happens. When you hanker for something, you get it. Over a period of time, it will start decreasing, and lamenting will start increasing, because the pleasure that you got initially, for you to get the same pleasure, now you need something bigger and better. Right? Once you have tasted something, you need bigger and better. The same pleasure, you'll not get it. You may get bored over time. Or if you did not get the complete pleasure, you'll continue to hanker more. And then that pleasure is anyway short-lived, and that the torment of constant hankering and lamenting, that cycle continues. Now, indulgence is physical and visible, right? We are seeing that somebody is indulging in something, but hankering and lamenting that arise out of this thing, they are psychological and invisible. And you need intelligence to see the long-term effect of it, because it is more subtle. It is getting embedded in our psyche as well, right? And what happens is the mode of passion, where it is derived from the contact of senses with the objects. Of course, so basically the point here is that part of it is visible, but it's invisible, intangible things are there as well, because we keep falling to the cycle of hankering and lamentation, and it will continue to persist as our sanskars much after you have gone through that cycle for that particular thing as well. That is why it is more dangerous. Okay. And Krishna is saying that you need to just let it pass and don't fall to this trap repeatedly. Yes, Samiran, you wanted to ask something?
Radhe Radhe.
Okay.
In this constant context of lamenting, uh, how can we, like, when we say fail an exam, or when we fail in sports or something, and we are feeling jealous of that, jealous that will motivate us, that why I am not able to push myself to that extent compared to the other person who is doing good. So is in that sense, is that lamentation or jealousy good
You have to,
or
you
not?
have to decide for yourself. There's a subtle difference between jealous and being envy, right? Now, if you are deriving inspiration from somebody who's ahead of you, then you are utilizing that for your own growth. It may not be bad in that case. See, somebody else, if it is doing better, you don't have to bring them down to get up, right? They can continue with there, but you can take inspiration from them. That is fine. You're utilizing it for your growth, right? But if you think, oh, how could he get that? That is a very fixed mindset, where scarcity mindset, where, if somebody else can have it, I can't have it. That is something we need to stay away from. And your own feeling, if it is getting negative, bitter, it's not giving you a good feeling. That means it's a negative energy you have to stay away from. Somebody's doing better, good for them. I need to up my game. That's the way to look at it.
So what would be the right source of, like, right seed of thought, if we don't want to see anyone else and do our job or something? So on a personal individual basis, how can we seed a good thought that I want to do it for this reason, or a very on a service mode or anything like that?
Give me an example. Like, for example, if somebody else is doing better,
No, no, no. I'm asking that if we don't want to get into that loop of seeing somebody else and doing, okay, okay, he's earning so much, or he's getting this much reward or whatever. That is his reason. But if we want to put up a seed in within ourselves that I want to go into this thing, but my intent is something better or good to do for the society or whatever, what is the right kind of approach to that?
I don't know, I completely got the question or not. First of all, I think we are all running our own race. We are not competing with anybody else. You may have your own reason to do what you want to do, but so if somebody else is doing that, it should not impact your decision as such, what you want to do and for what reason. That is your personal thing, right? Why would we want to compare? How many comparisons will we carry out in this world? Do we want to carry out comparisons only with people whom we know or whom we see? There is no end to that, right? So the right mindset is you define your why, what you want to do. You want to do seva, then you don't need money for that always, right? Whatever skills you have, you bring it to the fore and see how best you can do seva. If God wants to take seva through money as well, it will happen in due course of time. I mean, you can take inspiration and then work towards it, but it is your own race that you're running, not with somebody else. And each day we need to invest in ourselves to become a better version of ourselves. I'm not going to compete with somebody. And how many comparisons can we carry out in this world? It's a zero-sum game. End of the day, somebody will always be ahead of you, right? A billionaire can look at a trillionaire, and trillionaire can look at somebody who's a multi-trillionaire, right? There's no end to it, and it can go all the way up to Brahmalok if I continue to extrapolate it. You find your own reason and run your own race. That is the way to look at it. I won't compare it with anybody. If they are doing well, good for them. But why do you want to do it, and what is your reason to excel? Well, that is your personal thing, and that's where we continue to invest in, right? That's how I look at it. Dhruval, you wanted to say something?
Radha, no, I just want. Sorry, go ahead. Someone was.
No, go
Uh,
ahead, please.
okay. Oh no, I think Kumarji shared a comment. I think it's on the same topic. He mentioned that jealousy and envy is bad, inspirational is good.
True. I think we need to channelize that emotion for our own benefit. Becoming jealous is a scarcity mindset. It's like somebody else has it and I don't have it, and they're doing well. So that's we need to refrain from all those negative energies. Anyway, we'll get back to it. I know a lot of hands are coming up, so please hold on to that before I let me cover the content for now. So let's understand intellect decides. This is where happiness is, right? We have spoken about this concept. Let's understand this cycle, how this operates. Now, our intellect will go for happiness. We all are seeking happiness, and that's a fact, well-known fact, because we are part of the eternal ocean of bliss, fragmental, and as a part, we are seeking the whole. So all of us are seeking happiness, and intellect basically, because it's an interface, right? Soul cannot act on its own self. The faculties that it has, that is intellect, mind, and this body. So our intellect decides, okay, I'm going to seek happiness. And what happens? You're going to seek happiness in a particular thing. You're going to repeat that this is the object of desire. This is a particular thing that is going to give me happiness, and then you'll develop attachment to that because you have thought repeatedly about it. Then what happens? Mathematically, either something can happen or it won't happen. There are only 50-50 probability for everything, right? But depending upon your effort, yeah, you could increase the probability on either side. If you don't work hard, failure chances are there. So either your desire will get fulfilled. Now, if your desire will not get fulfilled, right? And then when your desire gets fulfilled, it is temporary and short-lived happiness. You are not able to sustain it forever. And it leads to greed because you have still not gotten that perfect happiness. So your desire got fulfilled, and then finally, it led to greed. You want more, bigger, and better. We see that all the time in the world. Companies, they want to, they're national companies, and then they become multinational, and then they become transnational and bigger and better, and year on year they have to show profits, and the stock has to rise, the wealth has to be multiplied for shareholders. It just continues. You win a presidential election, you want to win another one, you want to do an amendment so that you can contest again. You got a second term, now you want a third term. There is never an end when you say, it's enough. So even when you reach a certain stage financially, you want to add another zero. So that continues, that just leads to continue. The reason is very technical. That is because that is a material happiness you've got, and soul is asking for something more. And when your soul is asking for something more, the only way to fulfill that is to crave for more, and that leads to greed. On the other hand, if it is not fulfilled, right, so then it will lead to frustration. And if you fulfill your greed, then it is like putting fuel to fire. It'll ask for more. It'll come back with redoubled intensity. I need more, I need more, I need more. So it'll never stop. And if for some reason there's an impediment or an obstruction to that desire, it will lead to frustration and anger. Right? If you want to contest elections and you are debarred from doing that, you become angry. Right? Or you want to have something desperately and somebody puts an obstruction to it, you become angry. So this is the cycle that keeps on repeating. And what Lord Krishna is saying, don't fall to this trap. Okay, when you fall into this trap of desire, greed, and anger, then you will go further and further and further away from God. So this is an abbreviation you can remember. You need to give up GAD to get close to God. GAD is what? Greed, anger, and desire. Okay, so that get close to God. So greed is a mother of both anger and desire. And this cycle keeps on repeating. If you think about it, isn't it something that we fall trapped to pretty much regularly in our life? Something you are getting and it's still not bringing in a sense of contentment. You need something more, no, something more, promotion, hike, next thing, this thing, it continues. Or anger, oh, this is not happening. I wish this could happen. So this cycle just continues forever. So this cycle has to be broken. It's as simple as that. Okay. So desire, anyways. So now moving on, let's have a bit of a discussion on what is the key to success in life. And then we had a few hands. Let them. Why does our intellect get bewildered by worldly pleasures? And how do we get better at managing our non-beneficial desires? Any practical tools? We can open it up for a little bit of discussion, but I had a few people who wanted to add. I think Ajit Ji was there, and then okay, let's see which hands are there right now. Himanshu, go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe Manchuji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe
Yeah,
Radhe.
I was saying about the jealousy point when Samiran asked that Swamiji says this in a lot of lectures that, and we all know about it, but like when he was asking like how we plant that seed that we don't even think of it. So that we know that comparison is never good, except if you get inspired from someone or something. So it should end in a state where we are getting elevated and not the downfall for us. So obviously it's a very advanced stage that if you can see Lord Krishna or your Ishtadev in everyone, then it will be easier for you because you will always want the happiness of that person. You will always think about others first because that is the definition of true love, for example. And then if you understand everything, basically that everything is there for everyone in this world, as Swamiji says, that it is not a limited pie. Everyone will get everything if people start thinking in that direction. So that is also we can do if we want to develop that kind of mindset. And the second thing I was just saying about the point that you just said, that in some class you had mentioned that even though we have a free will, still we all are going in that auto mode because of our past tendencies and sanskars. So if my intellect is trained in a way, I will only think in that way until I change my way of putting my intellect at the right direction of contemplating happiness. So because of that auto mode, if we don't train our intellect, we will not be able to basically implement the right knowledge that we receive from our guru. So it will not convert into inner realization, and then we will not go ahead. So these were some things I just wanted to say. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Good point, Himanshu. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, Nitinji, there are multiple comments in the chat. If I can read some of them.
Yes, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think two participants have mentioned that comparison is thief of joy. It steals our present happiness. And I think Swamiji has mentioned very clearly in few of his videos about that.
Good point. Thank you for sharing.
And another point, Swamiji says that there is no shortage of anything in this world. So with this mindset, it will free us from jealousy.
Yeah, I mean, jealousy, if you think about it, it's like how many comparisons would you do in this world, right?
Yeah.
Is it just because you know somebody, it's happening in front of you, you'll become jealous? I mean, there's no end to that competition. So we need to do that conditioning. It's not straightforward because our mind is conditioned. Maybe that is what we have practiced, and that is our de facto, thought process. But with conditioning, we need to get better at that aspect. And why would you compare somebody? I mean, if it's happening with somebody good for them, you run your own race around it. So I think that's an emotion that can be we can mindfully do something about. And that is why that's the benefit of reading Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, even after reading or yes knowledge, we don't try to get better in these aspects, then what's the point? So yeah, it's one of those emotions we need to stay away from or work on. Yes, Pratusha?
And before we go to Pratyusha, there is a question from Manisha ji. So she says that just wanted to know how Jitayu had so much sense and intellect to save Sita ji and got the opportunity to left his body in Ramji's lap. In which category they fall into? Jatayu, yeah.
Category in what sense? What are the categories you have in mind? Jatayu was basically, he was he was doing his, see, this is what he fought. It's like this. Now, if somebody is, let's say, there is a tiger that comes to your home. Okay, I'm just throwing out a scenario. Okay, and you've got your baby there. Okay, whom you dearly love. So the mother is no match for the tiger, but still she may pick on the fight with the tiger, right? Because she cannot see the baby being snatched away by the tiger, right? That thought itself is unbearable to the mother. So mother will pick on that fight with the tiger and can give up her life in the process, but she will not see it happening. That can happen too, right? Because she has such a strong attachment to the kid. So something similar, think of that, Jatayu, right? His Aradhya is Lord Ram, and he could not bear that sight of Ravan taking away Mother Sita. So even though he had no hopes of defeating him, he did the next best thing, fight him on the way. And we know, right, what happened? Jatayu's wings were clipped by Ravan, and then finally he laid his life for the sake of seva for his guru, for his Aradhya. What can be more fortunate than that? So I would say he was a big devotee of Lord Ram, and it was his great fortune to lay down his life for the sake of his Aradhya. Not everybody gets that opportunity, but kind of attachment, you got an idea? Why would somebody just pick up a fight with somebody who's far superior to you in might? Mother would probably do the same. So he had that kind of an intense feeling and he could not bear the sight and he laid down his life. So I would say it's a pretty intense emotion in that sense. It's a very advanced level of devotee, must have been that.
Yeah, Himanshu ji also adds the same thing, that Jatayu had the sense to save Sita ji because he was a noble and courageous soul. His sense of duty, loyalty, and love for righteousness compelled him to intervene and defend Sita ji from harm. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yes, Pratusha, you wanted to add something?
Yes, sir. Radhe Radhe everyone, Radhe Radhe sir. Actually, what I wanted to tell for Samiran is, like sometimes I strongly believe in this point that suppose if something is manifesting in you in terms of any emotions, that means someone else is not making you do that. It is just they are the means to show you that you have that in you, and then how to get rid of that. So. Sometimes we often, somebody said this, somebody did this. We keep thinking about it, and the only one thought process that which helped me is, um, it's like a thought that, like God is telling me, don't you trust in my plan? So don't worry about someone else. Just walk your path, do your devotion. And the second point is expectation. Don't expect anything from anyone, but expect high things from yourself. So if you have scored, for example, the marks that you were speaking, some points. So just next time, how I can do better, not compared to someone else, but how can I can do better. And the second is trust in God's plan. That's it. Radhe Radhe.
Good point, Pratisha. Thank you for sharing. Radhe Radhe. Ankit ji, Ajit ji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe Ji.
Radhe Radhe. Actually, Nitinji, the answer to this query, what is the success component in the life? that you already narrated starting the session, that animals are doing animal nature, but human being is not. So the key to success in life is think good, act good, and be good. Be good in the sense, become good, not to show off your goodness. So actually, you see, the human being was known to make the slavery to another human in initial days. And that same thing is continued in the employee and employer relation as well. They are squeezing the employees, human being, and not thinking of welfare of their employee. So in the sense, be good is the key to success in the life. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe, yep, we are all selfish, right? Operate out of self-interest, and then that gets reflected in employer-employee relationships as well. So it's typically the case pretty much all across the board. Whoever is more powerful tries to take advantage of the one who's weaker, right? And that is how this world is, whether we like it or not. Yes, Samiran, you wanted to say something or ask something before we move
Yeah,
to
Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Pratisha ji, for answering that. I have a question, Nitin ji, that you talked about passion and having selfish desire in the start, right? So when we see Guru Drona, he purposely was like as for helping or his selfish desire towards Arjun that he should be the greatest warrior. He asked his the thumb from Eklavya. So in that sense, regarding his selfish desire towards Arjun, i- i- should we get inspired from Guru Drona in that context, or is it something that we should look up to? Or because Guru Drona is Guru Drona, right?
No,
He
actually,
has
proper
given a
Guru.
lot of good things.
Yeah, you can focus to choose on the good part of it, right? There is Dronacharya Award, Arjun Award, like Arjun Award. There is a Dronacharya Award for the coaches here in India as well, right, Bharat? So you focus on the good part of it. That is not something. So Guru, he had his imperfections too. He had greed too, right? He wanted to take revenge from King Drupad too. So we choose the stuff that we want to focus on. It's not that, like, see, if somebody is good, it's not that everything is good. They may have some, the other aspects, gray aspects as well. And if somebody is bad, it's not that all is bad, gloom and doom. They may have good aspects as well. It's for you to choose the aspects. He's not a role model for pretty much everything. You choose the good aspects of it. He had favoritism toward Arjun. A proper guru would be equitably disposed to pretty much all his shishyas, right? He owed his allegiance to Hastinapur because he had had their iodized salt, I guess, or whatever, right? Which was, again, he took the side of adharma. He wanted revenge from King Drupad because those are not the behaviors, model behaviors, if you look at it, what Bhagavad Gita tells us, right? So he had his own secret stash as well. We focus on the aspects through which we can derive inspiration from it. So for us, it's very easy to see things in black and white. Either somebody is good or they are bad, or something is black, something is white. But life is all about gray. You choose to focus on the white aspect of it, right? And that'll keep our life simple. Let's not say if somebody is good or bad. I mean, they may have shades of gray too. You focus on the good aspect of it. That'll keep our life simple. So from a Dronacharya standpoint, of course, there are enough reasons to suggest that he was not perfect. He was so attached to his son that Ashwathama died, right? Attachment, as scriptures tell us, you need to put it in perspective. What kind of an allegiance he had for his kingdom, where he's willing to give up his life just because somebody says his son is gone? You think he was truly performing his duty as a warrior there? So many questions are there. So you focus on the aspects that you feel inspired from and reject the rest. Okay, Tejas, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I want to add with Samiran's question about Guru Drona. Like Krishna, I think he tells when he talks to Guru Drona, he tells like knowledge usually liberates people, right? In his case, he used knowledge as a leverage. He used the knowledge as a leverage to make Pandavas fight against King Drupad. He
True.
used the knowledge to leverage to take Ekalavya's thumb because he knew that he was better. He would be better than Arjun, right? So that was his main mistake. I just
Yep.
wanted to add that.
Right. And even at the time of, there are a lot of incidents. That's what I'm saying. We all have shades of gray, and then we can focus on the good part of it and reject the other pieces. Because if somebody's we idolize, then we can pick up the good concept. It's not that somebody has to be perfect always. Yeah, and Drona, in fact, all the characters, if you look at Mahabharata, you can actually write a thesis on them, right? What are the aspects which are debatable, or some of the stuff that came up as well. Okay, let's pick up a new hand now. Monica ji, go ahead, please. I think after a lot of contemplation, you're going to ask something or say something, and then Dhruval will come to you. Go ahead, please.
Radhe Radhe. So,
Radhe.
Nitinji, a small input and one question also. So, about Dronacharya asking Eklavya's thumb, it was not because he thought Eklavya is better. It was because Eklavya belonged to the commander-in-chief of the enemy state or whatever, and he would actually fight from their side and not from Dronacharya's sides, right? So that was one of the things. And the question was, there are, unless you cross that state, right, there are people who manage to get onto your nerves. So let's say with this Tattva Gyan, you are able to ignore. So is it important that we eventually love them, or is it okay if we are neutral? Being neutral will also work. Do we have to eventually love everybody, only then we'll get Bhagavad Prapti, or can we be just neutral and that will also work?
Okay, so let's talk about the possibilities, at least what I've heard. So there will be people whom you would see who are who look up to you, right? So we need to take them along and keep them along. Then there are people who are ahead of you. We need to take inspiration from them. And then there'll be people who are inimical towards you. So for them, we need to become neutral, right? So negative emotion is not good. If we can't love them, and we are not forced to love them, how can we love them? But be neutral to them. They are inimical, they are Mayadheen, and we are not Paramhans to see divinity everywhere. But the least we can do to ourselves, gift to ourselves, is become neutral to them. And as we graduate, soon we will even transcend that aspect. Not love, you see divinity everywhere. You are not able to see bad in them. But for as long as we are doing that, we become neutral to them. That's the way, at least in the sadhana phase. And then at the point when you start entering higher stages, they'll become irrelevant, right? You don't fight with people who are mad, right? If you go to a hospital and you see mad people, would you fight with them? You will simply keep walking in your right. So they will not matter to you. Irrelevant they'll become.
But you will also not love them, right? Mad people, you will not love them.
Love them. It's not, you become neutral to them and keep focused on your journey, right? Eventually it will settle. No, it's not like you have to love the whole world and give them Valentine cards and then only you'll do Bhagavad Prapti. Not of that sort. Become
So,
neutral to them and stay focused on your journey. That's the key.
so a little follow-up on this. Let's say, we all have relatives or colleagues or whatever, right? So if now these people are chosen to be there in your life because of, let's say, past karma, whatever.
Even
So,
mother-in-laws and father-in-laws and sister-in-laws as well. Yeah, go ahead, please.
so you could be just neutral to people. And let's say you're nearing end of your life and then you're still in that sadhan phase where you're neutral. That will also work. We still get to go to Golok, right?
True. Neutral means not just from your behavior, but it should not cause any kind of a turbulence from inside. That is the key.
Right. Yeah.
If it has become irrelevant for you,
irrelevant, yeah.
When it's like, how does it matter, right? That is the stage we have to reach. It should not cause any kind of a twitch in your heart for those people and become neutral to them. That's about it. We don't have to find people and say, hey, can I love you? Of course, you stay focused on your purpose, and then that is how a devotee proceeds in life. It's like, see, when you in Diwali, let's say you want to go out and buy sweets. So what will you do? You will come out from your home, go to the market and go to the sweet shop. And on the way, if you have chappal shop and other shops, you'll not fight with everybody and say, hey, why are you not selling sweets? You stay focused. If they're not giving you, not adding value to you, stay neutral to them, and you don't have to invest your time, emotions, or energy. Just stay focused on what you need to do, because if you're becoming negative or you're becoming angry, then you're dirtying your antakaran. It takes so much of effort to clean it. Why would we dirty it back? Right? It's like working against our own self. So that is where devotee stays very careful, especially around people who can play on your nerves and who can press your buttons.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Nitin.
No worries. Yes, Durbil?
Radhe Radhe, yeah, I think I just wanted to share a couple of comments from Kumarji.
Sure.
So one was on Guru Drone. He mentioned that we can concentrate on Guru Drone's archery skills and knowledge to get inspired. And the other thing he mentioned, actually wasn't sure whose comment he was referring to look at all godness, or look at all goodness, godness as well. Look at Sri Ram. So
Good points. Yeah. In fact, I think Guru Drone, you can see, right? He is becoming pretty popular these days as well, right? Drones you see everywhere. I think that got inspired from that name only. Amazon has started using it, and a lot of companies are investing a lot on them. So, right, probably it has come from drone only. Anyways, we can move to our devotional segment. I see. Okay, few hands. Yes, Rahul, you wanted to say something? You wanted to say before we move to our devotional segment?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Ajit ji mentioned that we all have good and bad qualities, but we should look good to become good. Like Maharaj ji says, अच्छा बनना है ना कि कहलवाने का प्रयास करना है.
Right. We are all shades of gray, right? We all have our own secret stash, and then, of course, some good qualities will be there. Because we are a mixed bag, we are on Mrityu Lok. If you were truly good, we will be in celestial abodes. If you were truly bad, we will be in one of the naraks, hellish abodes. Because we are kind of okay people, that's why we are here. Let's
There
first put
is
our own self in perspective that we are not so good. I mean, we are kind of here and there.
there is another anonymous question, probably that can be helpful for others also.
Okay.
Will the association of impure or negative people eventually make us impure, especially when we are a beginner sadhak? Won't it be a kusang? Probably yes.
Sankarang, to it says, right? Sankarang. So
Yeah.
the kind of association you have that definitely influences us, right? When we say the kid is not listening to you, and he used to be very studious, or he or she, and no longer he doesn't listen. So the first thing that needs to be checked is the friends of the kids, because that is the biggest influence they carry. So Sankarang is always there. So that is why they say pick those 5 people, you are the sum average of 5 people you hang around with. So pick those 5 people very carefully whom you usually hang around with, because end of the day you'll start echoing them and you'll become a samad. So it's better to have people who are much ahead of you. At least you have a reason to believe, because then you will move towards them and you may average them out. But Sankarang is a part. Our Sang has a very powerful association on our lives, trajectory of our life and our thought process. So kids, if we have a choice, we need to protect them, from bad company. And ourselves as sadhak also, we need to refrain from kusang, because that could really derail our journey, especially when we are a sapling, not yet gotten firm roots on this path. So yeah, it can have an impact, big impact, say.
And Samiran ji mentions नर भी चले जाएं तो वहां भी राधा राधा बोल के कीर्तन करेंगे. राधे राधे.
Sure.
Yeah.
That is a mindset. Yeah, that's a good
And
to have.
yeah, there were multiple comments and some more questions in the chat, but due to time constraints,
I think
please
we have a
add
time
it.
constraint. We can take it tomorrow, not tomorrow, next time we meet.
Yeah.
And we can fill out the feedback tracker, please. If you have anything more, we can move to our devotional segment so that we can wrap it up on time. I think we do it at 10:05. That way we are not making anybody wait longer. So Rahul, if you can pull it up,
Yeah.
please fill
Yeah,
out the
I've
feedback tracker if you can post
yeah,
it.
the feedback tracker is already posted, and then I already posted about the upcoming family camp. So if you still have no plans of July 4th, do check that family camp invitation. Yeah. So now let me share my screen.
Sure.
Let me know once you can see the screen, and we will be doing that verse number 42.
I'm letting you know that we can see your screen. Go ahead, please.
Yes. Maybe Nitinji, you can go ahead. Actually, I'm not very clear on that beta. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me get the meter. We are doing Radha Govind Gita, or
No, this is Bhakti Shraddha. Or maybe I can do. Yeah, now I have the meter.
okay, I'll do that. No worries. I
Okay.
got.
Yeah.
जीवु माया दुई शक्ति है, शक्तिमान भगवान राधे राधे। शक्ति ही भेद अभेद भी, शक्तिमान तेजान राधे राधे। Jai Radhe Krishna Radhe 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 Krishna Radhe. Okay, let's take maybe one more hand. I see.
Pratyusha ji, yeah. Radhe Radhe Pratyusha ji.
Radhe Pratyusha.
Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe. जीव माया तोई शक्ति है, शक्तिमान भगवान राधे राधे। शक्ति ही भेद भेद भी, शक्तिमान तेजान राधे राधे। जय राधे कृष्ण राधे राधे, राधे कृष्ण राधे राधे राधे।
Very nice, thank you. So this is a beautiful verse, and it says Maya and Jiva are energies of God. These energies and their energetic Supreme Lord are simultaneously distinct as well as one with each other. And as energies have to serve the energetic, Maya is doing its job perfectly, we know it. Right? Maya is one of the biggest sevikas of God. If not for Maya, we would not even listen to anybody, or just trash spirituality and saints. Because Maya is tormenting us and it has its own ways of those chappals, right? We saw in that segment. We are forced to or incentivized to invest in spirituality. So that way Maya is doing its job. We have forgotten our relationship that we also have to serve God. And that is what we are trying to revive here as well. Last one, Swati ji, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe Swati
Yeah.
ji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. जीव माया दो शक्ति है, शक्तिमान भगवान राधे राधे। शक्ति ही भेद अभेद भी, शक्तिमान तेजान राधे राधे। Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Thank you very much, Swati ji, and thank you everyone for your enthusiastic participation and turning on your video and for your wonderful engagement, like always. And I look forward to seeing you on Sunday evening. So stay blessed. Have a wonderful rest of your evening and a great weekend ahead. So Radhe Radhe, good night, good day from my side. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nitin ji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.